Ships are now sailing routes abandoned 400 years ago, and no one is talking about why.
Basically, small business that are operating around the main Kajur Lake or the small artificial lakes that feed the main lake where the ships cross.
There is a hidden truth about the modern world, one that no algorithm, no satellite network, no trillion-dollar logistics empire has been able to solve.
4 years after COVID-19 led to the economic shutdown that taught the general public the term supply chain, new culprits are squeezing the global trade.
Everything you own, the phone in your hand, the fuel in your car, the grain in your bread, passed through a gap in the earth barely wider than a football field. 3 gaps to be precise, 3 knife-thin corridors of water that hold the entire global economy hostage. And right now, 2 of them are failing. This is not a story about ships. This is a story about how the most advanced civilization in human history built its survival on the geography of the ancient world, and what happens when that geography fights back. Global trade is often described as a web, decentralized, adaptable, resilient. That description is a lie. In reality, the arteries of international commerce funnel through 3 choke points so narrow that their closure doesn't just slow the system, it severs it. The Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Together, they function less like open highways and more like the valves of a heart. Block 1, and the body begins to fail. The numbers are staggering. Academic consensus confirms that over 50% of all container shipping between East Asia and Europe depends on just 2 passages, the Suez Canal and the Malacca Strait. 50%. Half the goods moving between the world's 2 largest manufacturing and consumer regions, threaded through corridors that nature carved millions of years ago. Europe bears the deepest vulnerability. Remove access to Suez and Panama, and European ports don't just lose efficiency. They become locked in, functionally islanded from the global network. In the language of network science, these waterways carry what researchers call high-betweenness. They are the bridges between continents. Eliminate them, and the system doesn't reroute gracefully. It fragments. And here is the uncomfortable paradox. We live in the age of artificial intelligence, real-time tracking, and autonomous vessels. Yet the physical geography of a canal dug in the 19th century still dictates the rhythm of the 21st century economy. The digital revolution changed how we manage cargo. It never changed where cargo must go. Now, imagine both valves weakening at the same time. It is not hypothetical. It is happening. In the Red Sea corridor, security threats near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait have turned one of the world's busiest shipping lanes into a danger zone. Vessels that once transited routinely now face the calculus of risk versus cost. And increasingly, the answer is avoidance. Ships are abandoning the Suez route entirely. Thousands of miles away, a different enemy is closing the second valve. Severe drought has drained the freshwater lakes that feed the Panama Canal's lock system. Transit slots have been slashed. Vessels queue for days. Some are turned away altogether. The canal that once symbolized humanity's triumph over geography is now being strangled by climate it helped accelerate. The detours are breathtaking in their regression. Ships forced from Suez round the southern tip of Africa, adding thousands of nautical miles and weeks of transit time. Vessels locked out of Panama swing south around Cape Horn, retracing the routes of 16th century explorers. The modern supply chain, for all its sophistication, is falling back on the sailing maps of Vasco da Gama. There is a widespread myth that contemporary logistics can absorb these shocks, that software and flexibility will compensate for lost waterways. The reality is far less forgiving. These are not minor inconveniences. They are structural fractures in a system designed around passages that no longer function as promised. The data confirms what shipping companies already feel in their balance sheets. When researchers modeled the removal of these key routes, global shipping times increased by up to 25%. That penalty falls disproportionately on the Northern Hemisphere, the economic poles of North America, Europe, and East Asia, where the majority of high-value trade flows concentrate. A comprehensive review spanning 170 million academic papers, distilled through deep search methodology to 20 critical studies, reached near-unanimous conclusion. On a 10-point confidence scale, the evidence that these choke points are irreplaceable scored 9 out of 10. The case for viable alternative routes? 3 out of 10. Weak. Every added nautical mile burns fuel. Every added day at sea compounds costs. Emissions climb, insurance premiums spike, perishable goods spoil, and the shockwaves do not stay at sea. They cascade into factory floors, retail shelves, and consumer prices on every continent. Theoretical models may suggest that global shipping networks possess inherent robustness, but empirical evidence tells a different story. Even temporary closures, measured in days, not months, produce economic disruptions that ripple for quarters. So the question becomes, can we build our way out? The honest answer is that no one knows. And the data we need to answer it does not yet exist. There is a critical gap in research on whether new infrastructure projects can realistically reduce dependence on existing choke points. The proposals exist, the evidence does not. What about digitalization? Real-time rerouting, predictive analytics, AI-driven fleet management, these tools help at the margins. They optimize what exists, but no amount of digital sophistication can manufacture a shorter path between two oceans. Think of it this way. You can upgrade every pipe in a building, install the smartest management system ever designed. But if someone bricks up the main line, no software will make water flow through a wall. And then there is the cost no spreadsheet captures cleanly. Every rerouted voyage is a longer voyage. Every longer voyage burns more fuel. Every ton of additional carbon pushes the shipping industry further from the emissions targets it has pledged to meet. The cruel irony is sharp. The climate crisis that is closing the Panama Canal is worsened by the very detours that closure demands. Resilience and sustainability are being forced into opposition, and right now, resilience is winning. Step back far enough, and the picture becomes almost poetic in its contradiction. Humanity mapped the ocean floor, split the atom, and connected 8 billion minds through light-speed networks. Yet physical goods still bend to the will of 3 slender cuts in the Earth's surface. These are not just waterways. They are civilization's pressure points, where geography, conflict, and climate converge to remind us that the modern world is far more fragile than it appears. The ships will keep sailing. The question is whether the passages remain open to receive them. If this changed how you see the world beneath the headlines, subscribe.